Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel English Literature. Today we're going to talk about Mark Twain's novel The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. We have discussed Mark Twain's life and work and particularly his major important works in detail. Now today I'm going to discuss Mark Twain's important and very famous novel, that is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Nobel Prize winning author Ernest Hemingway claimed in the Green Hills of Africa, all modern American literature comes from one book by Mark Twain called Huck Finn. There was nothing before. There has been nothing as good since. So you can imagine the appeal and response to this novel. Now, author's own life story. You can tell that Huckleberry Finn is author's own life story. The character Huck is the representative of the author himself. Published in 1984, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn captures the author's own experiences as a riverboat pilot. Now, we have discussed Mark Twain's life in details, and there you will find that Mark Twain's life was the combination, infusion of variegated experiences, and in that way he was also a pilot, and that adventure, that life is reflected in this novel. While he was engaged from Cincinnati to New Orleans, it also portrays his childhood days in Hannibal. So before you are going to read Huckleberry Finn, you must go through my video on Mark Twain's life. Okay, the detailed analysis of his life through timeline, Mark Twain's life through timeline. You must check that video first, and then you can read, and you will find the related themes and topics regarding this novel. His memories of white people who aided runaway slaves. And the same thing will happen here in this novel. A continuation of Mark Twain's previous novel, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So Huckleberry Finn was a continuation of another novel, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Now where the novel Tom Sawyer ends, Huck Finn starts after that. You don't know about me without you have read a book by the name of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So you also have to read Tom Sawyer, then you come to understand Huckleberry Finn. Both novels are set in the town of St. Petersburg, Missouri, which is situated on the bank of the river Mississippi. So the town is St. Petersburg in Missouri, river Mississippi. You have to keep this point in your mind. Huckleberry Finn is a poor boy from the town of St. Petersburg along the Mississippi River. His father is a brute and drunkard. Tom Sawyer is a middle-class boy with high-flying imagination. These two friends frequently engaged themselves in multiple adventures. They found a robber's stash of gold. Huck became quite rich with the money. And then the adventures of Tom Sawyer ends with good luck for Huck and Tom as they found the treasure trove. As a result, Huck became rich and he was adopted by the widow Douglas. A short synopsis of a big novel. Huckleberry Finn is really a big novel, and here I just try to have a glimpse of this novel. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn tells the story of two runners. Who are they? A white boy, Huck, and a black slave, Jim. So it is a story of Huck, a white boy, and Jim, the black slave, and their journey down the mighty Mississippi River. So Mississippi River is also a very important and mighty character in this novel. Huckleberry Finn opens with Huck and his new life in the house of widow Douglas and her sister, Miss Watson, a life of cleanliness and good manners. Though Huck does not like it, followed Tim's advice to get included in this next adventure. Actually, this cleanliness, this mannerliness, that Huck called civilization, the process of being civilized, this thing Huck did not like. But he followed Tom's advice. Tom advised him, you have to adjust to this situation. So I will take you in my next adventure. But Huck's drunken father Pap demands Huck's money. Pap comes to know about the money that Huck and Tom gathered. When he cannot get his custody legally, he kidnaps Huck and locks him in a cabin. Finally, Huck manages to escape, pretending his death by killing a pig and scattering its blood all around. So, this point is important, that how Huck managed to escape or feign his own death. Then he takes refuge on Jackson's Island. You have to keep this name in your head. That is Jackson's Island. Sorry. It was in the middle of the Mississippi River. There he meets Jim, the runaway slave of Miss Watson, the sister of Widow Douglas. Jim escapes Miss Watson when he overheard her plan of selling Jim to a plantation. Now, working in a plantation is like a nightmare for the slaves. Hard labor, no life, starvation, and the torture of the masters, whipping, beating. So when Jim overheard that Miss Watson is planning to sell her to plantation, he escaped. Now Huck and Jim joined together in that new adventure. At first Huck was morally upset. Why? Huck was in a kind of oscillation. What was the point of Huck's oscillation? Whether I should help Jim or not. It was Huck's oscillation. Help Jim or not to help. Because it was considered in the white colonizer's mind, that all the black people who are slaves are the property of the colonizers. So they have no individual value. And this concept was rooted in Huck's heart also, that they have no individual value. So Huck was in some type of oscillation. But at the end, Huck will come over his oscillation and help Jim. Now, through a succession of adventures, Huck and Jim meet and deranges throughout the journey. At the end of the novel, Jim is freed from his slavery through the will of Miss Watson, and Huck denounces being civilized. He prepares his life of adventure and set out for the West. Now we'll have a look at the major characters, those who dominate in this novel. Of course, the first character is Huck. He is the narrator and hero of this novel. He is a young boy who struggles with conventional morality. He flees from the cruel clutches of his father and joins a fugitive slave, Jim, down the river Mississippi. Now, struggle with the conventional morality, we just discussed this point, that whether to help or not. The conventional concept of righteousness also haunted Huck. Widow Douglas, she is a good-natured widow who adopts Huck and tries to raise him good-mannerly. Miss Watson, she is the sister of Widow Douglas, who tries to civilize Huck through religion and manners. Pap Finn, he is Huckleberry Finn's father, drunkard father. He is a brute with no heart who beat and confined his own son, Huck, for money. Tom Sawyer, he is his compatriot. He is a compatriot of Huck. He has leadership qualities. He is fond of adventures as well as misadventure. Aunt Polly, Tom Sawyer's aunt, who at the end of the novel wants to adopt Huck. But Huck will say, "Oh, it's enough." After Miss Douglas, Miss Watson, Mrs. Douglas, again Aunt Polly, "No, no, no. I don't want to be civilized anymore." Jim meets Miss Watson's Negro slave, who is a very down-to-earth man and he is easily gullible. He flees from his owner's house for fear of being sold to a plantation in New Orleans. He joins Huck in traveling on a raft down the Mississippi River. Finally, he will be freed. Judge Thatcher, he is a concerned citizen who petitions the court for the custody of Huck with Widow Douglas. He also safeguards Huck's money from his father, Pap. The Duke, he is a 34-year-old printer who is full of vanity and falsehood. He claimed himself as a descendant of royalty. The King, he is a bald, grey-bearded man of 70 years. He is a fraud and dishonest fortune teller. Wilkes' sister. There are 4 sisters. If you are asked the name of the Wilkes sister, then you have to remember Mary, Jane, Susan and Joanna. When their guardian Peter uncle dies, they become orphaned. Now, to the characters we found, there are 2 types of character, bad and good. There are good character like Aunt Polly, Jim, Miss Watson, you can say, and there is Judge Thatcher, he's also a good man. And there is bad characters like the King, the Duke, Pap, etc. Now have a look at the different thematic perspective of this novel. At first, the most dominant feature of Huck's character we find that is a search for freedom. Huck does not like to be confined with the conventional rules and regulations and manners that are thrust upon a child or a person in the society. Both Jim and Huck are in search of freedom. Jim from his slavery and Huck from his drunkard father. The novel can be read as a journal of freedom, where Huck is the representative of archetypal innocence and idyllic childhood. The novel is revolutionary in its approach, where an adolescent boy, Huck, dares to venture into his world, negating all the bondage in search of freedom. So, the next concept, that is racism. One can read the novel as a type representation of freedom, and you can take it as racism, as a pamphlet of racism. Huck represents the white society that dithers into the brink of conscience and power-mongering. On the one hand, Jim represents the black society. So, Jim is the representative of black society, and Huck is the representative of white society. Now, the white society is under the clutch of some stereotype ideologies. And among those stereotype ideologies, there is the concept that black slaves are the properties of whites. And Huck was engulfed by this concept also. So it takes time for Huck to accept Jim as a human being. Jim is a Negro slave, and a Negro slave is just a property. In Huck's conscience, this concept of slavery and person is just collided. Jim is a slave, and a slave is not a human being. But finally, Huck accepts Jim as a human being who has the same emotional turmoil for his own family. And this oscillation, this realization of a slave as a human being is the American crisis represented by Huck. Now, social vices. Various social vices like greed for money, for power, for comfort, self-centered, selfish individuals. These characters loom large in this novel. In the character Pap, King, Duke. These characters represented the viceful society. My voice is hoarse and it is cracking time to time, you can understand. Actually, I get very cold. The novel is written from the first person point of view and it is based on vernacular language. When you read the novel, you will find some language, some words that you don't understand. And of course, the language distraught me somewhat while reading the novel, but ultimately I enjoy Huck's adventure. The language adds authenticity to Huck's character. As a boy who disliked to be civilized and prefers his freedom above everything. Now, critical comment at the end of the American Civil War in 1865, a new era of great change erupted in the United States. Slavery had come to an end and a devastating shift was visible in the economy. American literature was also changing. Samuel Langhorne Clemens, Mark Twain, became the most memorable humorist and writer of his time, whose work kept a significant mark in the American literary canon. And Mark Twain's or Samuel Langhorne Clemens's inherent sense of humor that you will find in this novel also. Though Huckleberry delineates with different themes like racism, freedom, social bigotry, in every aspect you will find that thread of humor is permeating, wafting throughout the novel, sprinkled tactfully to the voice of Huck. Anyway, I think that though it is mainly a children's novel, children can read it from children's perspective, any adult also can enjoy it from other perspective like racism, like American society, representation of American society. So it is worth reading, and of course for your syllabus. Thank you.